Nottingham Trent University, working with you. Proud sponsors of Working Week.
On Working Week this week, no time for rest or fishing for us because we're still hard at it.
And we'll be talking to a company, a Nottingham company, that's making a huge splash in the TV and film industry.
Splash? Very good, yeah.
We're constantly investing in the latest equipment to be ahead of the game and to offer a unique perspective on things, new equipment for high production value. So yeah, there's some exciting times ahead.
And if you're struggling to get around Nottingham, and who isn't Des? Des will be out finding out about your transport woes and what the future holds.
You know, it'd be nice to pedestrianise the centre, but as a salesperson myself, you know, there's times when I need to have a car available 24/7, and I do think at times probably the council don't understand that.
And this one excites me. It's a Nottingham company. If you're into nans, as in nan bread, this Nottingham company is making giant nans.
Giant? How big? How big?
Bigger than your head, mate.
That's big.
That's big. That's big,
I asked
baby.
for that. I asked for that.
One of the new things we're bringing out this year is the giant naan bread. So this is something we've been working on.
Hello, I'm Des Colm.
And I'm Rob Pitton.
All that to come.
But first, let's take a look at a fascinating Nottingham company. You're going to like this, Des, actually. They're right in the cutting edge of film and television production technique and making a name all around the world.
This may look like something out of a sci-fi film, but it is in fact a flying camera. These helicopter-like machines are known as drones, and I went to meet the men behind the controls.
Uppercut Productions has been going for about 10 years now. We specialise in aerial filming and photography using these sorts of machines, drones.
It's liftoff in the election, so what's important where you live?
This is the flight controller, so this controls the actual flying characteristics of the helicopter. We have another one over there, another controller with a monitor.
What exactly are we looking at here, these two monitors?
On the left we've got the same feed that the camera operator has got. So I, as the person flying the helicopter, can see what the camera is doing. This one on the right is a mini camera that's facing forwards on the front of the drone. This helps me with orientation, but it also gives me the battery voltage, satellites, altitude, basically all the information from the helicopter.
Do you have to have a special kind of pilot's training, or?
Definitely, yes, yeah. You do have to have a licence, quite a bit of paperwork that's required. So you have to have insurance, a permission for aerial work, all sorts of special permissions that you need to obtain to fly in certain areas. And there's a lot of rules you must abide by to keep safe. We do quite a bit of television work, various documentaries, that sort of thing. Feature films, so we have another larger drone. The larger one carries bigger cameras for cinema quality footage. And then we'll also do high resolution aerial photography, perhaps in London for developers before they build the tower. They'll do panoramas to simulate the views.
What exactly is this that you've got here?
Well, this is a very strange looking contraption. It's actually a stabilised camera mount. And you can see how it's working there. Yeah. It will follow smoothly your movements past a certain point.
There aren't enough national television programmes made here in Nottingham, and don't just take our word for it, our MPs have said the same. But this one, scheduled for BBC Two later this year, is the work of Sally Bowman from the BBC in the East Midlands, who lives in West Bridgford. It's packed with fascinating real-life stories from a tiny doctor's practice in the Peak District, and these gorgeous aerial shots are, of course, from Nottingham's very own Uppercut Productions. Still some way to go, though, to replace the huge business run by Carlton Television on Lenton Lane. That closed more than a decade ago, but our city's filmmaking is definitely on the up. Fascinating company, that. You know something else fascinating, Des?
Yep.
I'm very sad, but I've been reading about this building here, the Virgin Gym as we all know it. Looks like a train station. In fact, it was a train station. That was the headquarters or the main station for the Nottingham Suburban Railway. Now, I might be wrong in that, and I'm sure someone out there will correct me, but that's what I read.
That's incredible. You are a font of information. I could just shrink wrap you and put you in my pocket and pull you out.
Here to please. Let's just let this guy go through, though.
Anyway.
Talking of transport.
Yeah, talking of transport. I've been out in Nottingham finding out whether your thoughts about the transport is good or bad.
The trams are quick and they're always on the road, quite regular and efficient. Sometimes I have to wait up to like 10 minutes. I think if you're getting tube in London, you'd have to wait like 1 or 2 minutes and then you can just jump on.
Just to go to Beeston, I think it's like £2.50 or something one way, so it's pretty expensive.
The train is quicker than driving and cheaper.
I'm from Manchester and they don't have the screens with the time saying when the bus is coming, so I'm there waiting, wondering their buses, but in Nottingham you know exactly when it comes. It's really good.
No, the council favour the trams and the buses, and they put the hackney taxis to bottom of the pecking order.
So that's your view, but what does it all mean for the economy and for business in Nottingham? Let's hear from an expert.
Richard Baker.
Nottingham Post.
The problems are the announcement that the government's made that it's pausing the funding, so it says, on Midland Main Line electrification. Now, just as we've waited a long time to see improvements with A453, we're still waiting to see the journey time from Nottingham to London via rail get quicker. One of the ways that was going to happen was electrifying the railway line, but it looks like it's not going to happen for many, many years to come. And that's not good news for business.
I don't know if it's just me, but it seems to me that sometimes in government they might think, well, we've got to cut a project, we'll cut it in the East Midlands because they won't make as much of a fuss. And so the work's going ahead in the South West, but it's not happening here because we don't kick up a stink. Do you think that?
Well, I think on this occasion they are making a big deal of it, that we've seen the councils, we've seen businesses, we've seen some of the MPs stop and say, oh, hold on a minute, we're really not happy about this, that the government said it's going to make a lot of investment, for example, in the Northern Powerhouse. How does that square with pulling the funding from rail lines in the East Midlands? The East Midlands is the motor of the economy. Well, it can't motor, it's not got good rail lines.
Well, let's hear from some of the people who know how our transport system and our economy will develop in the years ahead. This is D2N2, remember them? Remember D2N2?
Derbyshire, Nottingham, Nottinghamshire Local Transport Enterprise?
Very close, local enterprise partnership. The people in charge of overseeing the development of our economy, they've just had their annual general meeting and I went along and it wasn't, Des, it wasn't in Nottingham.
Why?
We've actually left our beloved Notts to come to Chesterfield, and they've even got a football club here. Who knew? I didn't have any idea about that at all. But inside we've got businesses from across Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire. That's because this is the annual general meeting of the Local Enterprise Partnership, which covers both counties. The people in here look after our economy. So, what have they been up to? The audience heard that D2N2 is aiming to create 55,000 jobs. Yes, 55,000 in the next 10 years.
At the heart of LEPs is how they add value, potentially to the context of combined authorities.
But can the region do it? Well, the Lloyds Bank chief economist Trevor Williams told us there were good signs in the UK economy as a whole.
One of the great things that the UK has been able to do is to talk about austerity, but not to do as much as the rhetoric suggests.
Another speaker, and this time from Notts, Beeston to be exact, Christopher Barnett, is a futurist who can spot how economies and even societies will grow in the future.
We're in a situation where the technologies we currently have is quite distinct. 3D printing, nanotech, synthetic biology. They will merge. We will build a new economy based on nanoscale machines. Now, when I say that, people go, you're bonkers. But
the aim was to inspire the audience, and it seems to have worked.
I thought it was excellent, inspirational speakers, really informative, and actually for me it just showed us what we can be great for. Great.
I thought it was a brilliant event. Obviously Trevor Williams gave an overarching view about the economy and the state and where it's actually going.
Thoroughly enjoyable. It's often very good to take time out of the office and just to have an opportunity to think out of the box a little bit.
What intrigued me was the insightful presentation about productivity and the gap that we've now got to address in terms of skills improvement and filling that productivity gap.
So what one message did the speakers have for businesses here in Notts?
I think my one message is to recognise that in the future we will have to achieve more with less, and that the way we'll probably do that is using new technologies, and that businesses need to start looking a bit more widely as to what those technologies are, things like 3D printing and the developments in nanotechnology.
As many of the panel pointed out as well, what you want is to make the area attractive to business. So the infrastructure has to be right.
This year's AGM may have been in Chesterfield, but D2N2 promises next year's will be in Notts. And quite right too. Well, while he's talking to yet another fan, I can tell you that that's it for now, but in the second half, we'll be looking at the Nottingham company making really big, and I mean really big, naan breads.
We're making them up to 2 feet long, but it depends on the exact customer's requirements.
They've caught 26 fishes.
26 fishes? They need a big naan bread for that.
Are they?
Let's go and have a look at them.
It's perch, roach and bream.
Perch, roach, bream, how many have you got?
26.
26, and how long have you been here?
Since 8 o'clock this morning.
8 o'clock this morning, that's a fantastic haul, isn't it?
That's incredible.
So someone here who loves Nottingham, and another guest later on the programme is a businessman who really loves Nottingham. I'm not exaggerating here.
There's so much to do here. There's one of everything in Nottingham. It's absolutely chock full of facilities and entertainment. That's why we love it.
I'm just getting over those fish.
They're fantastic, aren't they? How interesting was that? The things you see when you're out on the road. But back to the business stories, and coming up in the second half, we've got some good advice for you if you're looking to get a grant here in Nottingham.
It'll often require a business plan, some previous accounts, and some financial forecasts going forward as well.
That's it. See you after the break. I took the words out of your mouth there, didn't I?
I'm off for a fish dinner.
Oh, what? Oh, fish dinner. You have me worried. See you in a bit.
Nottingham Trent University, proud sponsors of Working Week. Nottingham Trent University, proud sponsors of Working Week.
And welcome back to Working Week.
Mate, you've got to watch yourself. You like
telling me to step back. He's trying to get me in there. What I need is a life jacket or something like that.
You got a life jacket, is it? Eh?
A life jacket? Oh, no. Go on, tell them what's coming up.
We'll be talking to a Nottingham company that's making giant naan breads.
We're making one of these that fits on a big hanger that's brought to the table as a sharing naan that you can enjoy as a family with a meal. We've had huge interest from around the UK.
And we'll be meeting the Nottingham man that really, really loves this city.
There have been success stories already. I meet companies who've grown very rapidly in a short space of time in Nottingham. This has proven Nottingham's a great place to do business.
And top tips for getting advice on business.
We've supported a range of projects in the past, all very interesting projects, normally based on some of the growth sectors for the city. So a large number of digital content businesses, a large number of businesses in the life sciences sector, and also businesses looking to improve their green credentials as well.
So all that to come, but let's get to our first story, really interesting one. This is a company, Des, making speciality naan breads, and some of them are pretty big.
Staff really now help develop our strategy, our plans, and we listen to them.
Everybody knows what they've got to do, and we work with each other to help each other. It's a growing business, and I like to grow forward with it.
It's an industry in which Nottingham's always had a leading edge, with food companies dotted across the city. And at this spot on the Lenton Industrial Estate, another is steadily growing. 65 people work here, providing breads and naans for pubs, restaurants and retailers across the country. The company's increasing in size after reorganising 4 years ago.
The business was struggling in 2011, and there were a lot of areas in the business that weren't right. The culture wasn't very good. Nobody was particularly listening to the staff. I think they were struggling to make change and understand the market well. And since then, we've made a number of changes in the business. that have managed to get us into pretty much double the size of the business now, and we're still growing at 30% year on year.
How have you managed to do that? You say we've made some changes. What's different now?
Well, I think there was a lot of focus on what the company was doing. What we've brought more focus on is how the company do things. So we've worked really hard on our culture, on how we listen to staff and how we behave with our staff, and making sure if somebody comes up with a great idea, we back it and do it rather than ignore it. And at the other end, we've tried to empower people to take more responsibility and have much more control in their day-to-day environment and jobs.
It's a highly mechanised operation which can turn out 15,000 nans in an hour and can cope with an order size as small as 8 pallets.
They have all different base recipes, but it's essentially flour, yeast, water, a little bit of salt, and then some other small specialist ingredients thrown in to give it the special flavours.
Are they hard to make on a mass basis like this?
They have their issues. It looks very simple on the face of it, but there's always challenges and problems in terms of temperature, ovens, equipment, people. So there's always something going on that'll challenge the production teams.
And looking around, it's dead labour intensive, isn't it? How important are the people that work here?
The people here are very important. They obviously make this business. We empower them to come forward with any improvement ideas they've got and anything else that they want to bring to the team. We have a morning production meeting where all the ideas and any problems and issues are resolved, and teams' actions come out of that meeting on a daily basis.
The firm was set up by the Butt family, who'd opened a restaurant and Asian sweet shop in Nottingham. They say being based here brings advantages and one big problem.
The workplace parking levy this year has not been such a big advantage and something we found quite tough. But I think for us it's a great location. We don't have too many problems recruiting really good people. And I think from a distribution point of view, we're a couple of hours from anywhere, which helps keep our cost base down to our customers.
Unusually for an industry that traditionally has a high turnover of staff, the workforce here tends to stay. This team has more than 30 years service between them. How long have you been here?
It's 5 years now.
5 years?
Yeah.
And you're enjoying it?
Yeah, I enjoy it, really enjoy it.
What do you like about the job?
I like it too much. I like to pick it and packing again.
Do you like naan bread?
Yeah, I like it. I love it to eat. It tastes good.
When you're working, as I say, do you know how many you've got in your hand? Do you know you have to have a certain number?
Yeah, if they're saying that you're supposed to put 5, you need to pick 5.
So how many have you got now without looking?
No, I've got 3.
You looked?
Yeah.
And for an industry that's always looking for the next big thing is very big.
One of the new things we're bringing out this year is the giant naan bread. So this is something we've been working on. Many of the other manufacturers just keep launching different flavours, but we've been looking at how people eat, and we've spotted that people are changing from more formal dining to more relaxed and casual dining. So we're making one of these that fits on a big hanger that's brought to the table as a sharing naan that you can enjoy as a family with a meal.
And how are they going down?
Well, we're just about to launch them, so we're about to find out, but we've had huge interest from around the UK.
And how big are they?
Well, we're making them up to 2 feet long, but it depends on the exact customer's requirements.
It's a sign of a company quick to change and to innovate, looking for the latest trends in eating and keen to continue growing in an industry that's flourishing here in Nottingham.
It's a great company someone set up there, but what if you're starting out in business?
Yep, there are loads of grants available here in Nottingham, but a lot of people are a bit of a loss as to exactly how to apply for them, what kind of forms to fill in. Well, we thought we'd get you some serious advice and information. Here's Lewis Stringer from Nottingham City Council.
I think the important thing is for any business to be very prepared for an application form and to be aware that it will take some time and some effort on their part, so they should be prepared for that. Most grant schemes will have a 2-stage application process. The first is an expression of interest, where the funder, the deliverer of the scheme, is looking for some very basic information from the applicant to determine whether or not they can support them. The second stage, if you get through the expression of interest stage, will often require a little bit more detail, a little bit more understanding. What I suggest to anybody looking to apply is first and foremost to get a better understanding of what the deliverer of the scheme is looking for. What are their priorities? Why should they support you? But again, beyond that, the full application form, that second stage application process, will require some level of detail. It'll often require a business plan, some previous accounts, and some financial forecasts going forward as well.
That's really good advice. But what kind of firms do you think win the grant?
Here's Lewis again.
Well, it sounds obvious, doesn't it? But you're looking at a business that's been able to demonstrate that they're a good business, that they're a viable business, that have systems in place which are going to make the project more successful. Typically, you're looking at what the qualifications of the management team are and the abilities of that management team. Have they delivered a similar project in the past? Are they going to be more than capable of delivering it in the future? Do they know what their marketplace is? Is it a marketplace that's growing and expanding and therefore can deliver the growth that they are suggesting in their application form? And finally, in terms of delivery, most funders are looking at, what are we going to get in return for that public purse? And often that comes down to job creation. So again, they're going to be looking at the capabilities of that business, both historically and in the future, to create jobs for the local economy.
Well, let's move on to the next piece. And Des, you know how much we love Nottingham. I mean, we love Nottingham, don't we?
I love it.
Do you think anyone likes Nottingham more than we do?
I doubt it.
Well, actually, we found someone who does. Yeah, get a load of this. This is a businessman who came here to do some work in the city and has moved his entire family here.
My name's Jason Absalom, from Essex originally, but I don't wear white socks anymore, I promise. Grew up in Kent, then long stints in Buckinghamshire and Suffolk before moving to Nottingham just a couple of months ago. My business is a recruitment agency. We find staff for companies with vacancies in accountancy and finance, IT, sales and marketing, and facilities management. Why we love Nottingham? Simply, there's so much to do here. There's one of everything in Nottingham. It's absolutely chock full of facilities and entertainment. That's why we love it. We were living in rural Suffolk, which, although it's very pretty around there, coming to Nottingham each year emphasised to us there's really nothing to do. As regards to restaurants, for example, where we lived, we had 2 or 3 choices for where to eat out on a Saturday night. Here in Nottingham, we're absolutely spoilt for choice. I'm a bit bamboozled by the sheer number of restaurants. We're going to try and eat in a different place every Saturday night. I think it'll take us several years to get around all the restaurants at the rate of 1 a week. How does Nottingham compare? And that's a key point, isn't it? I've been going on about, oh, we love the facilities here, there was nothing to do where we lived. So somebody could say to me, well, if you want facilities, why not London, Birmingham, Leeds, Manchester? No, too big, too spread out. What we love about Nottingham is, I keep saying there's one of everything here, but in a convenient space. Park once in the city centre and you can walk everywhere. So I think Nottingham is optimally sized. It's an absolute optimum size. I've recruited all over the UK and the world. Now I want to help companies specifically in Nottingham. Through the organisation Nottingham Means Business, I've been going out and meeting companies. What I've discovered is companies with a huge amount of growth potential. There have been success stories already. I meet companies who've grown very rapidly in a short space of time in Nottingham. This has proven Nottingham's a great place to do business. They have a lot of vacancies as a result of that growth, and I can really help them. My angle is going to be that for any candidate who would have to relocate to Nottingham to accept a job here, I can promote Nottingham strongly because I can say to them, well, my wife and I just moved here and this is why. So how could I possibly promote Nottingham with more conviction and integrity than that? So I think I can really help companies by bringing people in.
Well, that's it for this week. Been another packed show, Des. What, the giant naan bread?
Yep, giant naan bread without the fish.
Yeah, that fish, unexpected. We weren't planning that. And the guy who loves Nottingham.
And D2N2 Nottingham Derbyshire Enterprise Partnership Company.
Close. And top tips on how to apply for a grant here in Nottingham. We'll have more next time on Working Week.
See you then.
See you then.
Nottingham Trent University, working with you. Proud sponsors of Working Week.